When it comes to tax refund updates, there's a lot to cover, from lower than expected refunds to increased wait times for actual tax returns to be processed. In this video, we're going to cover all the pertinent information that you need to know. I'm Bradford with the Penny Pinter's Guide to Personal Finance, and the first thing we have to talk about is important deadlines when it comes to tax year 2023. The IRS began accepting tax returns on Monday, January 23rd, 2023. And as of this week in February, they've already issued almost 8 million refunds back to individual taxpayers. The next deadline that's coming up is going to be April 18th, and that's going to be the deadline for all individual tax returns to be filed. Now, this is opposed to the standard deadline of April 15th, because the 15th falls on a Saturday, and then the 17th is celebrated as Emancipation Day holiday in Washington, D.C. Now, everybody's individual tax return is due no later than that day unless you file for a tax return extension. If you do file an extension, which anyone can file for any reason whatsoever, and it will be granted, and that's going to push your deadline back to Monday, October 16th, 2023. Now, please note that even if you do file this extension, while that means that you're not going to be penalized for filing your taxes late, if you do owe any sort of taxes, you will still be assessed a penalty and a fine if you don't pay those taxes on time. Now, one piece of news when it comes to refunds that it caused quite a bit of stir earlier this year is the announcement by the IRS that everyone should expect to have a lower refund compared to the previous year. Now, the reasoning why for this announcement is going to come down to one of three factors. The first one is that with tax year 2022 is that there were no more economic impact payments or stimulus checks passed out in 2022. So compared to the previous year with 2021, this could be a difference of between $600 to $1,200 per person in tax credits that you could have that would significantly increase the amount that you due on your tax refund. The next one that has an ability to impact a lot of Americans is that the enhanced child tax credit is no longer a thing. So when you were filing taxes last year for tax year 2021, if you had children, you were going to be getting a tax credit of $3,600 per child. But that was only a one-year measure due to COVID still being a factor, and that is no longer a thing. This year, when you're filing taxes for 2022, that $3,600 is going to be dropping back to the standard amount of $2,000 per child, which if you are filing and you're expecting the same amount as last year, is going to be a drastic difference. And then the last factor, which is still quite controversial, is the tax reporting requirement for peer-to-peer payment apps like Zelle, Venmo, and Cash App. Previously, the income reporting requirement was above $20,000. These apps would actually report to the IRS the money that you were making on these apps. As of this year, when you're filing for tax year 2022, that threshold was dropped down to $600. This means that if you're participating in the gig economy and you're doing any sort of things on the side that previously, well, you might have made a few $1,000s on these apps and not had to worry about reporting them to the IRS, and basically it was treated as under the table money. Now with the threshold dropped to $600, you are going to be required to making sure that you pay all the money on those taxes because it will have been reported to the IRS. This can be a big shift for a lot of people who might have previously been receiving a hefty refund that not only would the refund be lowered, it might change the situation that you actually owe money to the IRS this year for the first time. Now, aside from lower refunds, another major concern for people is how long it's actually going to take to receive their refund once they have filed their taxes. Now, for most people, if they are e-filing, they can expect a less than a 1 month wait, typically around 3 weeks, to actually receive the refund from the date that they actually e-file. Now, if you are paper filing your tax return, this is going to mean a significant increase in the amount of time it actually takes to get your money back. The IRS has published a minimum wait time of 6 months, and this is due in large part to their millions upon millions of tax returns that they have backlogged, particularly when it comes to paper tax returns. So while they published a minimum wait time of 6 months, I would anticipate that it's going to be much longer than that, maybe even upwards of a year, for you to actually get your money back. If you want to check on the status of your tax refund, once you filed your tax return, you can use the IRS tool, Where's My Refund, which I've linked in the description down below. Now, to actually use this tool, you're going to need 3 pieces of information. The first one is going to be what is the actual status you're using to file. The second is going to be your social security number. And the third piece of information is the exact amount down to the penny that you expect to receive for your tax refund. Now, to be able to actually use this tool, it's going to be 24 hours after you e-file your taxes for 2022. If you're referencing tax year 2020 or 2021, you can expect a wait of 3 to 4 days before the tool is going to be open to you. And then if you did paper file your taxes, it is going to be a minimum of at least 4 weeks before you can actually check on the status of your refund using this tool. If you have any other questions when it comes to taxes, you're going to want to check out our Tax 101 playlist right here. We cover everything from individual and business taxes, and even how to file your taxes completely for free. Thanks for watching, and from your first penny to your first million, we're here to help.